Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I'm probably late in getting Nosferatu up, and if this goes up before, it's because I just wanted to get it up right away. And it might not be all fancy and everything, just kind of done in the way that, me just responding and putting the things up and doing all this stuff just to get this review done up because, yeah, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video. But, and where I think with Nosferatu, I really want to do it like I normally do and clips and everything like that in the background as I'm talking. But tonight we're going to see Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Now, this is from the same studio that has brought you such great hits that I love as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, Electric Boogaloo, Your Mom's Box, or some shit like that. I don't know. I don't know why I'm seeing this movie. I think it's just because everybody's like, hey, let's go see it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go. What the hell? I don't know what to expect from this movie. Now, if you watch the other videos on Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Blood and Honey 2, I definitely liked the second one better because the budget was better. I definitely had better kills. And so what I can gain from this is that, yeah, we're going to have a better budget than we had from before with the, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. So maybe the kills will be better. It seems a little more like a psychological horror, and the trailer doesn't look that bad, to be honest with you. But I just don't know. We're just going to have to wing it and see how things go. What I'm hoping for is that it's entertaining. That's the biggest thing, is that it's just maybe it has good kills. Maybe the story's not bad, maybe it has some decent performances. Maybe Peter Pan is really, scary and it's a good character, even though the rest of the movie's bad. Like, those are the things that I hope for, right? Whereas, like, kind of like Blood and Honey 2, where I was like, okay, definitely a lot more violent, definitely better kills, but it gets really stupid towards the end of the movie. Or I just want this to be a so bad it's good horror movie to where I'm laughing my ass off the entire time, and I can recommend it based on people going to see it like that. Now, this is only in a limited engagement. I think it has 3 days this week that it's going to be in theaters. I think this is day 2, or it's like today, tomorrow, and Thursday, and then that's it. So, and we're at a different theater than we normally go to. This is a Regal that's out here. It's not necessarily further out. I actually like this theater. It's been around for a while, and I'll give you guys a little bit taste of going up. It used to be really popping back in the day, but like most movie theaters around here, whenever a new one opens up, it seems like that gets all the popularity because everything's been updated. But this one still isn't that bad. I think I went and saw Free Guy here, and it turned out to be not as bad as I know they redid some of the seats. It's still not like, I've become such a snob with movie theaters where it's like, I like the reclining seats. They're just comfortable. They don't need to be heated or anything like that. But I prefer those to just your normal sit-down annoying seats. But these ones, like, they kind of recline, but they're self-recline, at least for some of the theaters that are here. So we'll give you guys a little bit of a viewing of the inside and the walk-up and everything like that, since we haven't been at this movie theater. But yeah, I'm hoping that this movie is just so bad it's good. I'm hoping that, or it's at least entertaining. And if it's entertaining, then, maybe it'll be better than both of the Winnie the Pooh movies. But, when you're doing a thing called the Poohnaverse, it's, what you're playing to, and you're kind of playing meta with everything. And you know that these are just like, it's a lark, and that's what it's going to be. And that's what you're going to expect out of it. So we'll see what happens with this movie. Hopefully it, like I said, just hoping for something entertaining. That's all. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit. And like I said, I think that this review is just going to be like a straight, like, kind of an off the dome type of thing where we're going to talk about it and probably still do like spoiler, non-spoiler, but more just like, flow of thoughts after everything is done. So I guess I'll see you in a bit after you see what the theater looks like. All right. And if I'm blinking my eyes a lot, it's because I'm not looking very forward to seeing this movie. All right. See you guys. Okay, so this is on the outside. This used to be, like I said, really popping and used to be really busy even during these nights, but now it's relatively empty. Used to have a lot of really cool stores and everything. That's up. But I think the theater still looks cool. I like this little walk up for everything that's there. And so that's the big Regal that's back there. and but in general, it's so goddamn empty with everything. Like, there used to be a bunch of stores and a bunch of different places to eat. There used to be a really good place right there called the Red Tractor. That was like great. It was all like farm to table breakfast stuff, and they had some really good dinner items too. And there used to be an On the Border over in a bit, but it's pretty goddamn empty now. So we're gonna walk up to the Regal. They did do some updates, like the outside of it. Like I said, this used to be really nice. It used to be the place where the kids would all hang out, where we would come to go see movies a lot. But I'm gonna go meet the rest of the gang and see you again in a bit. Oh, you get a better shot of everything there. This is the first IMAX theater that we had in our area. It's not true IMAX, of course, but it's better. As you can see, walking up, there's the rest of the gang. I said they redid it. Ooh, the monkey remake of Monkey Shines. So yeah, the remodeling on the inside definitely looks nice in comparison to what it used to be. We'll see what happens with this movie. It's crazy that this place still has an arcade. Isn't that really odd? You don't see that very often. All right, updated seats. Patrick.
Thanks.
Crystal. You're welcome. Angela. Everybody's here. We're gonna enjoy Peter Pan. Yay. Hey, what's up, everybody? So welcome to the review. There's Zach, because he's excited that I got back home from doing all this fun stuff with seeing Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, right? Oh, okay. Yep. He wants his love. He wants his kisses. So Zach is here, breathing in my face. Now he's gonna go lay down. That was way more exciting than anything that's happened during that whole damn movie. Let me tell you that. Okay, so as you guys have may seen for a while, Jesus Christ, dog! I'm trying to record this and be done with it. So let's just we're gonna do this like we do normally. I'm still gonna break it into parts, and we're gonna go through the movie and do everything. So this is a spoiler-free section for what it is, and I can't wait to the spoiler section, let me tell you. So, spoiler-free review. It's not very good. Let's just say that right off the bat. I was not very impressed with the movie in general. It had some good things in it. Oh, also, I'm going to show off the shirt of my... I really want one of these shirts. This Seymour, like, this type of, like, silly, like, Max Fleischer type of horror shirts, but I want it for Killer Clowns. So I forgot who this artist is that did these shirts. If you could make a Killer Clowns one, I'd be totally down. I got an Art the Clown one, and now I've got an Audrey 2 Little Shop one. But nonetheless, I'm not here to show off shirts because it's probably more interesting than anything I'm going to talk about in the spoiler-free review. Okay, so the movie does some things pretty good in general. The biggest thing that it does really well is it does build up very well in some of the scenes and some of the horror-esque parts of the movie. I will definitely give it that. There's one really good scene that is in Peter Pan's house with the little boy, and they're playing Marco Polo. That I liked. I actually thought that was really well done. I think it was really well set up. I will definitely say that you can tell again that this has an increased budget from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and they took some of the stuff that they did with that and they made it better. So the kills, while not as many as there were in the other films, there still are a decent amount of kills in this movie, and they're relatively good when you do get them. There are some really gory ones. The gore is definitely upped a little bit. Yeah, I'd even say from the last movie from this franchise, which I think they renamed it from the Poohnaverse to something like the Nightmare or something. I don't fucking know. It was in the beginning of the film. I didn't care. We also got a small trailer for Bambi the Reckoning, which I just... all it was Bambi attacking a car and then like attacking the dude, and the dude got his like legs gnawed out, and then it cut away for a kill. Like, they don't want to give you the whole kill, but they want to show you that, hey, we're going to be doing some kills in this movie. But, you know, the acting is okay here. For what it is, I think it's better than most of the movies that we see that are in this. I think it's better acting. Again, I have to compare this to the last movie that they did, which was Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Uh, I think that the acting was fine. I think the story. So the story has an allegory to it, and it's reflective. Like the character's reflective of himself, and I'm gonna get into that in the spoilers, and I'll probably do it like right away if you really want to know what it's like. In my opinion, what it's about. It starts off decent. It's a little slow in the beginning. It does pick up quite a bit. I definitely think this is one of the worst killers since Ghostface. Just in the fact that everybody could beat the shit out of him and nobody really cares, and yet he still manages to get up. They try to incorporate a lot of stuff with the Peter Pan narrative into this, except for you have to deal with the fact that Peter Pan is just a drug addict that's kidnapping kids, because that's the basis of the story that we have here. And yeah, just I don't know. There just wasn't enough to grab me. Everything is really paint by numbers. The only thing that's not paint by numbers is the overarching narrative that we've got in this movie, and that's really where I'm like, okay, you know, I get what you're doing, but I don't know if I like what you're doing because I don't know exactly what you're trying to say. Like I know what you're saying, but are you saying it in the right way, and are you what exactly are you saying by saying it? That's probably the biggest thing, and that's probably the biggest head scratcher that I have in the entire movie. I don't fault it for trying something like that, but it does seem maybe partially tone deaf, like not completely, not like it's funny because I'm gonna go back to like Terror Train with this and the ending of the original Terror Train, where nowadays people just kind of consider that to be very tone deaf in the way that it is. And if you know what the ending is, you know what it is. I'm not going to spoil Terror Train, even though it's an old ass movie. It's a nearly 40-year-old movie, you know. And if you've never seen it before, the OG, you should probably see it because it's actually pretty good, even though David Copperfield's not that great in it. It's one of the things that the remakes do better is the magician character. He's way better in the more recent versions of the film. But I just I feel like there were too many times where I even said to myself that we have this at home, you know, especially the way they did some of the makeup for Peter Pan, and even the way that Peter Pan looks after the intro and everything that goes on with him. And kind of part of me had high hopes, like I was laughing about stuff and I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then, you know, but it was moving and I was just like, okay, I can see where maybe you're going with this and everything's kind of cool, and maybe this is going to be a good story. And then it's just kind of, it's dumb. There's just some decisions by characters that I just did not like. And I definitely feel like it was, even for a 90-minute movie, I felt like this movie was really long and it just didn't feel like it needed to. The other thing is that, you know, again, movie theaters and their start times nowadays are just driving me fucking crazy because the movie was supposed to start at 7:50. The movie itself, or sorry, the trailers didn't start till 8:11, and then the movie started at like 8:30, 8:40. So almost it felt like almost an hour into it. It probably was a little earlier, maybe it was 8:30, but still 20 minutes of trailers, 40 minutes before the movie is supposed to start. You finally start the movie and it's like, you know, even for an hour and a half movie, that is really fucking terrible. And most of it's fucking commercials, which drive me absolutely nuts. So, rating this movie, it gets a 2 out of 5 pixie dusts. I just I think that there's promise in it, but I really feel that they take a basic idea and they just, you know, what if Peter Pan is kidnapping kids? And then they just build around that. I mean, I understand that's probably a lot of ideas that go through, but even like the most low budget horror movies that do really well, I feel like have a basic idea of what they want to do, but really work on key areas of the movie, which I feel like this one didn't. Either they know where their budget is and they use their budget in the right way to do something that is very fun with like the gore. So I have to, again, I know this is going to be like a Homer type of thing going on here, but like Terrifier, we're into just the first one. The other ones kind of amp everything up with a more of a budget, but they kind of knew what they wanted to do, and they spent the budget on the makeup for the gore. And so the gore in the very first Terrifier is extremely good, and it's crazy for what it is and the budget that they have set forward. And so the story, while it's pretty light, it really amped up in the areas where it felt like it really wanted to amp up everything. And then, but you have this one, but other films that are doing that, maybe they don't want to spend the budget on the gore, or that maybe it's even less than what they're expecting it to be, but they have a really good story and interesting characters, and they really don't skimp on trying to tell at least something that's interesting. Maybe it's not the best put, maybe it's not the best acting, and it doesn't have a whole lot of kills, it's off screen, but you have a really interesting story, and you have a really interesting setting, and everything is just written extremely well, and so you enjoy that aspect of it. Or again, you have great acting and just great characters. Even though the story's not great, you really like the characters that are in the movie. You maybe like the bad guy, maybe you like the good guys. Whatever it is, you really get into it that way. And so the best low budget horror movies usually have one of those three things directly in it that make it a good low budget horror movie. And then you have this series. And this is where I'm really stuck with this series, where you don't really have good actors. You know, they're either sufficient or they're bad. And here they're sufficient. They're not great. And even like originally I was liking Peter Pan. I was like, okay, well, if we have a good Peter Pan and this good bad guy, then it's great. But I ended up not liking the way that he did everything in the movie, as it were. And then, or you have a really good story. It's not a very good story for what it is. Or you have really good gore. Pretty good gore. Not necessarily like all over the place. And some of it's just like, why do we need to do that? So that's basically it. So it's a solid 2 out of 5. We'll get into the spoilers next. If you want to stay around, watch spoilers, great. If not, check all the links down below, and I'll catch you next time. So right now, we're going to jump into spoilers. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the spoiler section of Peter Pan's Nightmare Neverland. And that actually kind of, me even having that faux pas there, kind of links into what this movie is kind of like about and the whole thing that's going on. So, I said I'd probably talk about this in the beginning, and I think it's the best way to kind of go through the rest of the movie with everything. But the and I say allegory, but maybe it's not allegory. It's not the word that I'm necessarily looking for. But basically, what this movie is about in general, like I said, it's Peter Pan, and we start the movie with him there, and he works part of the circus, and he's telling the story to this kid, and he's telling about how Neverland and kids never grow up and all this other stuff, but he's not a kid anymore, he's an adult, right? And he says, kids like us, like this is some type of Michael Jackson type thing that's going on here. And so, he tells the kid that, but it's obviously he's kidnapped the kid and he's doing something to the kid and taking him to Neverland. I'm assuming, at least at the beginning, I assumed that it's killing the kids, and so that they're boys forever, right? But he only picks special boys, and that's where we have a lot to do with the movie. And what you learn to find out as the movie progresses is that the only boys that he's taking are boys that have gay tendencies, whether they are gay or they aren't gay, or they're like Tinkerbell, who's Timmy. That's the people that he keeps, and the only one that he keeps around happens to be Tinkerbell, who actually gets to grow up, and another kid at the beginning of the movie, who I'll spoil a little later, even though I'm probably going to spoil the whole thing. And so it's really, though, you have your main character, you have your Wendy's, and you have your little brother and older brothers whose names I think William was the name of the younger child. I don't remember. This is how much I enjoy the movie. When I don't remember shit about characters except for Wendy, because she was cute and kind of had big boobs, but like that's the only thing I can remember, and it's Wendy. The character's name is Wendy. It's like that stuff, like I didn't really have a good time, other than of course Peter Pan, because it's Peter Pan. And so you start 15 years in the past, and it's him kidnapping one of the kids, at the beginning of the movie, and showing what he does. And it's funny because when you look at him the first time, he's playing like a mime in a circus, or a circus clown mime, or whatever the hell it is. and he's wearing like it's obviously that they did the Joker from the Dark Knight Rises. Like we have Heath Ledger at home type of makeup that we've got the Joker at home. And then like he sneaks into the house and it's like Evil Dead where like he's popping up from the bottom from like the cellar, and but then he's doing his best like we have Pennywise at home, or even we have Paul Bearer at home. Oh, little Jeffrey, we're going to get you. And then the Undertaker will rise up and he will come and get you. Like that type of like crap that's going on. That's probably my worst Paul Bearer that I've ever done. And I can do Paul Bearer relatively well. I just don't know what I'm going to do, what I was going to say. But that's the type of shit that we get. And then he kills the mom and kidnaps the kid, like come with me to Neverland type of thing. My name is Draculia, show me your tits type of like reach out the hand and let me get you. But the thing is that he talks about his mom the entire time, and the mom, like she got rid of the boys. So the thing is that it's the obvious thing that, and it's blatantly fucking obvious, especially when you meet Timmy for the first time, and you find out about him kidnapping Timmy, is that Peter Pan's gay, okay, or has gay tendencies, or however you want to say it, and his mom didn't want him to be gay, and so his mom like shut the boys away, and him going after the other gay boys is to realize, and that's his like special, when they're like, you're the special boys that want to come with me to Neverland, I see something special in you, means that he can tell that the boy's gay, or he knows the boy's gay, because he's researched the boy's activity, or whatever it is. He's been there on the Googles, and he's like trying to find gay boys in his area, but he realizes he can't be going to Google all the time, because then all of a sudden, it's going to really bring the cops and bring him attention. So he's got to figure out some other way. And instead, he's going to bring his ice cream truck fucking van with Neverland and rainbows all the place. Rainbows are fucking everywhere in this movie. Like, if that's not going to be a telltale sign that, he's a gay killer going after other gay boys. And it's just, and he's not killing necessarily the gay boys. He is, but he's not killing them the way in brutality that he would do before. And so it's like that stuff is really out in your fucking face the entire time. So yeah, so the assumption is that Mama didn't like him being gay, and so Mama suppressed it in him or did whatever to the boys. Maybe she was violent and she killed off a bunch of other boys. I don't fucking know. And so him doing what he does is reflective of that, right? So it's just, he's basically, the rest of the movie is about him going after Wendy's brother, younger brother, who has a boyfriend of sorts. I don't know, like, they did something in the beginning where they're like in the fucking school cafeteria, pardon me, and like he gives him his birthday present because it's the boy's birthday, and then it's a picture of him. It's like, we're mates. And then he puts his hand over his hand, and it's all cutesy and stuff. And like, again, I have absolutely, I want to put this 100% straight. I have no problem with any of that stuff. I'm not going to be like, oh, I have gay friends, I've got my friend has a gay brother, and I'm totally cool with him. I have a gay uncle, and all this other shit, which I do, but like, I could really give a shit. But it's just, what upsets me is that it's like trying to be blatantly obvious with it, right? And it's the same thing with him, and especially when we meet Timmy Tinkerbell, who happens to be, whether he is a transsexual person or not, or is it Peter Pan that's put them upon him? It's pretty obvious that he's transsexual. In fact, they even say it with the father. He's like, my son always believed that he was a little girl. And like, because Wendy, after he gets kidnapped, she goes to speak to somebody that dealt with it before, which happens to be the father of Timmy. And then they go into his room, and like, because the moment too is like when Timmy popped up, and I was like, this is weird, because at the first time, okay, so he kidnapped the one thing, and he's like, oh, special boy. And I was like, okay, well, what makes him special, or what does he see that's special in him? I really don't know. And then, and I was like, oh, well, okay, well, he's gay, or at least that's what they're trying to say. It's not super blatant, but it's kind of blatant. And But then you see Timmy, and Timmy has a pink unicorn backpack, has his nails painted pink. And then when you see Dad, and Dad takes Wendy and her friend and the boy's friend into Timmy's room, and it's covered in dresses and all the girly things because he believed he was a girl. He has all these dolls, and it's pink, and it's all. I'm like, I gotta be fucking kidding me. All right, so that's exactly what you're doing here. Because like I made a guess. I'm like, oh, is Timmy gay too? And then, like, is he only kidnapping gay boys, and that's what he's forcing to go into Neverland? And then we go over, and yeah, it's fucking that's what it is. And so, like, if the thing is that he has these like forced, repressed sexual thoughts in his head, and he only kidnaps these young gay boys, and he doesn't supposedly doesn't do anything with them, like because he doesn't have a wiener. As when we see him get naked for one scene, and then they make sure to flash down to his crotch, and it looks like he's chopped off his wiener or his mom chopped off his wiener. I'm leaning to number two, where his mom probably chopped. Oh, you want to be a girl? I'll show you how to be a girl, and gave him no more wiener. Or he was just born like that. But, and I'm going to be jumping a lot, I think, around in the spoiler because I think I just have to talk about things. And it's just like, okay, I guess that's what it is. But what is it, like, what is it exactly saying that, is he putting these boys into Neverland so that they can never grow up and they never have to deal with people like not understanding the way that they feel? Is that what we're trying to get out of it? Or say they feel, or what he feels? And that like he let Timmy live because Timmy was the only one that was different than everybody else, because he, since he was transgender, that it allowed him to be himself. But because Timmy liked to be a girl, it was like he was with a girl. I mean, I might be stretching with some things here, but I think that's partially what it's trying to say. And I just feel like it's a fucking mess. And there are just so many, there just dumb things happen. And again, it's not super dumb, right, until like the last act of the movie, because the first act is really him getting the kid, except for it's really funny when he does kidnap the boy. Like, the boy wants to ride his bike everywhere because he's got a bike for his birthday, and the sister, Wendy, she's just like, no, mom says you can't, 'cause she'll be late for school, even though they're late for school anyway, because I guess even though he would have been late riding his bike, his sister can't drive fast enough to make sure that he gets to school on time, but has enough time for them to do carpool karaoke. I'd love it too when like they're all sitting around the table, right? And they're talking about his birthday and like, oh, I got gifts for you. Don't worry about it. We got gifts. Oh, do you think Dad's going to give me what he wants? Oh, you said he was going to give me a drone. And Dad, of course, is not in the picture here. Oh, it's pretty expensive. I'm not sure if your father's going to follow through. And the brother's like, yeah, well, Dad never comes through with anything. It's kind of a deadbeat. He said he's going to do this. And, and then the sister who's sitting at the goddamn table listening to every fucking thing looks like she's fucking paying attention, but she must be daydreaming about dick or something like that, because there's a whole subplot that goes absolutely fucking nowhere with the fact that she's going to be moving to London because she wants to go live with her boyfriend out there. They're going to go move in together and be a couple, and like that's what she's thinking about, even though she's got an acceptance letter to some university that she's going to be going to. And she's sitting there at the table, and then she looks over, oh shit, there's a birthday card. Oh no, it's my little brother's birthday. Oh no, I'm just like Dad. Like, oh my god, it's just stupid. Like, that little thing, like, it'd be one thing if she just wasn't around, and then mom's like, hey, snap out of it. Like, there's nothing. Like, she's paying attention to everything that's going around, and yet doesn't. So, anyway. So, drops him off at school. Then all the stuff at school happens with the boy putting a gay slur on the back of his back on a Post-it note. And then the friend that maybe his boyfriend, they're going to go out and see a movie that weekend or some weird shit. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Takes the letter off his back, and then we move forward with it. And so he's riding his bike back home, right? And we see Peter Pan and Tinkerbell go out there, and it's like, it's time. We're going to go and steal ourselves a new boy for Neverland. And so you have him like follow everybody to school, right? And he like parks his fucking R-word van that's gonna, and some would say grape, and I really don't feel like I need to say the word, but his R-word van is out there. It's obvious, like, Again, rainbows fucking everywhere. Let's go to Neverland. That's like it's even on the fucking back of the goddamn van saying let's go to Neverland. You're not gonna say that no cop is gonna see that fucking van driving around and it's gonna be like, let's go to Neverland. Huh, that has kind of negative connotations. Remember Peter Pan from back in the day? Like they even mentioned Peter Pan later on, that there were the Peter Pan killings from back in the day. And nobody thinks that, oh my god, a guy that has a van with blacked out fucking windows and a fucking rainbow on the back that says, let's go to fucking Neverland, couldn't possibly be Peter Pan that's gonna maybe be kidnapping kids around here. Could he? Oh my god, what's going on? Like that's the type of stupid shit that happens in this movie. And so, like, I think it's the following day too, because it can't be the same day that she goes to pick him up, because like she's out there, she's waiting for her boyfriend that's out there, and he runs the brother runs to her and like hugs the boyfriend and is like, oh yeah, hey, I, you know, because I guess he likes him too. And then the boyfriend is like telling her how, oh yeah, I made a mistake, you're pressuring me into moving out there and we're not going to move out there. And then she's like brokenhearted about it or some shit, unless that wasn't the same boy, but it obviously looked like the same boy. And so the next scene from that happening is the brother on a bike with his pink helmet. That's the type of bullshit that we got in this movie. He's riding his bike down the road, riding his bike home. Where did his fucking bike come from? Did he borrow his friend's bike? Did he steal somebody's bike? Does he have himself like a pink hacksaw that he's able to go ahead and chop through a couple of fucking chains? Meanwhile, he's trying not to break his nails, because that's what we fucking needed to make sure pinpointed the fact that the kid's fucking gay. Like, he's like riding down the fucking road, and then, you know, there is a giant white fucking wire across the road that anybody could fucking see, and he somehow misses it. I mean, this thing is like thick white wire that you would see there. And so he hits it, goes flying off, and then all of a sudden he looks over and there's the you know, the kidnapper van that says I kidnap children on the side of it. Or I'm sorry, I kidnap gay boys on the side of it. And he just looks over there and he's like, what could that possibly be? And looks back. Oh my god, there's the wire. My bike's fucked up. Kidnapping van. White wire. Bike's fucked up. Kidnapping van. White wire. Bike's fucked up. Kidnapping van. Oh hey, weird dude coming at me. Like, I get it. I flipped a bike before, right? I remember as a kid, we were riding around the little elementary school that's up here, and I was probably like 10 when we would do this type of thing. A buddy of mine and I would ride around bikes around here, and down the little slope, like we like going down the slope because you go down fast, but at the bottom there was like a drain pipe that was like this, that was relatively, I don't know how you would do it, like from my head to the edge of the screen or whatever. And I hit it going the wrong way. You had to hit it a special way. And I hit it, and I literally rolled the bike over on top of myself. But I still got up and could ride. Like, I was beat up. And a kid that age, of course, this is like, you know, emo Peter Pan, because this guy's got like big fucking floppy hair up there, like the kids do nowadays. But like in the time that it took him to like realize what happened and to see Peter Pan coming out of it, and at this point too, Peter Pan has killed a fat dude in a store to steal a mask, you know, and he didn't even have a quip when the guy's like, hey, you're gonna pay for that. Like, he could have said something quippy. Like, I would have been cool with Peter Pan if they played him like Freddy Krueger. Like, and that's kind of what maybe I was expecting it to be like. Maybe something like that. Like, have him say something funny or quippy or whatever it is. He goes, kills this. You know, like, the guy's like, how are you going to pay for that? Oh, do you take blood? And then, like, start stabbing him in the neck or something like that. I mean, as dumb as that fucking sounds, at least it's something. But instead, he's just like, you got to imagine there's a mask on my face and then, like, come on, dude. Come on. Really? That's the way that you can do it? Anyway, so he kills Fatso, has this mask now so that it hides his scars, because when he fought the mom in the beginning of the movie, like, she fucked up his face really bad to where he's got all these scars. Like, his face was like open and falling off. And actually, that kill was probably the best kill in the movie, where he kills that mom by, for one, again, he gets thrown all over the place and constantly beat the shit out of. but he eventually gets her on the table, knocks her out, and then grabs a knife and splits open the top of her scalp, and then scalps her by pulling the scalp back. Like that was actually a good kill, and that's where I was like, oh, cool. But when that's probably the best kill that you have in the whole movie, even the death of Tinkerbell is it's good, but it's not. I don't think it's as like even though that's not super creative, like it's not as visceral as that. That's there. The only thing that is visceral is the fact that he like breaks his arms and legs, or at least his arms. He just breaks them on the table, and that's rough. And there's two scenes of people getting stabbed in the feet, and I hate it. Like with that mom in the beginning, that's one of them. She doesn't get stabbed in the feet. She gets her fucking toes chopped off on one of her feet. And then later on, when Wendy's fighting Peter Pan in the house, she gets stabbed in the feet with a shard of glass and has to pull the glass out. Again, like they're fine. Like those things are fine, but I've seen it so much lately that it's losing its impact. I mean, it still gets me because I hate it when anything goes into feet. Like that is the worst thing for me to watch. Seriously, the absolute worst thing for me to watch ever. And but I'm seeing it so it's like being used so much because maybe it's a cheap effect that they can do. I don't know. But nonetheless, so he's kidnapped after being stupid. The daughter, Wendy's blaming herself because, like, she shows up and he doesn't get out of class. I have a feeling that maybe it wasn't the same boy, and that was like he was picking up his brother or something like that, the boyfriend. And even though she was there to pick up, but then like he left with a bike. So where'd the bike come from? I'm still trying to figure that part out, and that it was the same fucking day. So they get a creepy phone call from Peter Pan that plays some weird music and talks about how his mother always played this music when he talks to the boy. He's got him now at his house, and that's where we're kind of introduced to Tinkerbell, who believes in what Peter does, but like, Peter sends the boys to Neverland, and he doesn't know exactly how he does that. We find out later that he either traps them downstairs or he, like within the case of one of the kids in the movie, the boyfriend of the main brother, that's just what I'm gonna call him. He tries to bury him alive. Like he puts him in a casket and then like, but all he does is put a lamp on top of the casket. Doesn't like put him in the ground or put something really heavy so that the kid can't lift it off. Maybe because he's like, oh, maybe this kid is like stereotypically gay, so he's gonna pretend that he doesn't have any strength to lift that shit off. Like that's the type of acting I would have expected in that type of scene. But the last part of the movie is just it's dumb. Like, okay, I get the whole thing. Like, he's gonna go kidnap the friend because he's like, oh, you need a friend and you want to be, I know your friend is special too because he's gay, and so he goes to kidnap the friend and kills the friend's entire family. Like the dumb one is the sister who's also a friend of Wendy as well, and like he won. I like the shot. There's a shot where she's sleeping on the couch because she let her friend sleep upstairs. So the only reason that Wendy lived after she got kicked out by her mom because her mom is blaming her for the fact that the brother is gone. Where he's at the window and he's looking for a way in to see if any of the windows moves. It's a good shot. I like that shot. I think that, like I said, I think those things are well done. And then he finds out that the side window works perfectly fine. So he goes in there. He goes above her. She opens her eyes, and Peter Pan standing above her goes, shh, don't say a word, and then starts stabbing her, and she doesn't yell. Like, he's not stabbing her in the lungs. He's not stabbing her in the throat. He's stabbing her in the stomach. Like, she does yell, but she doesn't like yell loud enough. And like, I'm like, how would she not be yelling like that? Like, not waking everybody else in the house up. And then he's able to kill everybody. The father gets killed off screen by having his throat slashed. Well, he gets his throat slashed off screen, then dies on screen. And like, Wendy sees it all happening. She's got the door open, and there's no way that Peter Pan doesn't notice that the door is ajar and then closes because he's like looking down the hallway and the dad's looking directly at the door. And so he goes in there, and I think that it's interesting that she's hiding outside, but I was like, how is she hanging out by the window unless they've got a balcony out there, which they ended up doing. So I was like, okay, but just, it's funny because like, I'm not saying that you can't hide outside of a window, okay? Like, there's a railing or there's a gutter or something like that. Like, people can have done that before, and you've done it in movies. But they're usually like, they got their arms up against the wall and they're holding on for dear life. But she literally just kind of turns around and then just starts walking normally. And I was like, how does she walk normally? Oh, okay, there's a balcony. So she goes in the next room, and that's where she finds that the mother's been tied up. She hasn't been killed yet. And then all of a sudden, in comes, good old Pete's. And Pete's ends up wrapping a freaking plastic bag around her neck and then, taping it all so she runs out of air and chokes to death. Meanwhile, good old Wendy is in the room. So Wendy's in the room, and good old Wendy, of course, like a lot of young girls, does not charge her phone like on the regular basis and has run out of battery. So she sees that there's a charger in the room, and she plugs her phone with the charger as she's hiding from Peter. As Peter is leaving, and she notices that he's kidnapping, the friend, which might have been named Joey. I don't remember what his fucking name was. I didn't hear him go, whoa, anytime. God, that is the worst fucking whoa that I think I've ever done with that. But nonetheless, like she grabs the charger, and again, we're having definitely one of the dumbest moments in this movie is coming up in just a moment. So she grabs the charger, and it's weird to me that people don't have car chargers, even in nowadays and age, if this is meant to be more of a recent movie, right? A nowadays type of movie. So you'd think that they'd have a car charger you can do it. Or when she plugged it in, she still had like 20% of the battery, because even then the battery on the seat says low battery power, which meant that she had about 20%. So it hadn't run out yet. And then she's driving and chasing Peter Pan, who doesn't notice that the car is specifically following him, by the way, to go wherever he's going. She doesn't bother to call the fucking cops the entire time that she's driving behind him. I don't care how much battery life I have. If I have 10%, if I have 5%, the first thing I'm going to do, call the fucking cops. Call, in the UK, 999, and then, make sure that the cops fucking come after me, and say, okay, I'm going down this road. We're going this way. I'm not sure where exactly. I'm running out of phone. I'll try to keep you on as much and tell you where I turn. And you guys have to come and you have to help us. Nope, doesn't call the fucking cops. Instead, breaks in the fucking house and breaks in the kitchen. And what happens to be in the kitchen that she's able to use right away, because she makes sure to bring her phone and the fucking power supply? On the kitchen counter happens to be a power strip that she can plug her fucking phone into. If that is not one of the dumbest things that I think I've seen in a goddamn movie in the longest time, is the random Deus Ex Machina fucking power supply or power strip, so that way that she can plug in her phone and get her phone charged for everything. And then she goes through the house. She goes to find her brother, to eventually, Peter Pan's brought her brother's boyfriend there. And then he just says that, oh, you're going to be the first one to go to Neverland, because I'm going to take you both to Neverland now. And then takes away that and locks him up. She runs by the door. She runs into Tinkerbell. There's some scenes of Tinkerbell 2 and the brother that are like, you're realizing, oh, that's Timmy from earlier. And then you're also going through, like, he kind of has Stockholm syndrome, to where, like, Peter Pan has told him that, hey, nobody has wanted to see you, that they're not looking for you, even though his family is like, oh, we miss Timmy. I can't help. I don't want to change his room because I miss him so much. I can't just bring myself to do it. And so, Timmy, of course, is going to have a change of heart and is going to protect them in some way, shape, or form, right? Because that's the way these fucking movies are written and the way that they're done. So you got, eventually she figures out that the lock on the door that leads to her brother, the code is the birth date of her brother, which she remembers his birthday, even though she forgot it in the beginning of the movie. Get it? She forgot it, but she remembered it for this time, guys. So, oh God, like, just the rest of this movie is just, again, it's just terrible. So she ends up meeting back up with him, and like, it's hilarious because, we see, I forgot to mention, Peter Pan's also a drug addict, and he's doing heroin all the time, but he calls it his pixie dust. Like, literally, there's a scene of him with a bent spoon, and he's holding a lighter to it and sucking the fucking heroin into a syringe that says pixie dust on it, and then shoots up, and that allows him to see images of Peter Pan on the walls. And even, again, in the beginning, like if this had been more supernatural and actually had been something about like, yeah, Peter Pan really is real and he is kidnapping boys, and there's some, because he even says like but there was some entity that told him that he needs to keep bringing boys to Neverland. Like if he was like schizophrenic, or like there was some darkness that was telling him to do things, I think it would be much better than the fact that no, he shoots up, and when he shoots up, he hallucinates, and that's where the darkness tells him to do what he wants because he's high as fuck. And when he's high as fuck, he thinks he can fly, but he really can't. Which is real, by the way. There's like one scene where he flies, and then Tinkerbell comes in, and then he's not flying anymore because it was just the fucking high and just in his fucking mind. So he goes in the kitchen, and Tinkerbell tries to get out of him, like, what do you really do with the boys? You know, and he's like, well, you know what I really do with the boys, you know, and he's trying to be, I take them to Neverland, and you know what that really is, meaning, you know, I probably fucking kill them, or I keep them in my basement, you know, whatever. And so while they're sitting there in the kitchen, all of a sudden her phone gets a charge and she gets a shit ton of messages on the phone. Like, where are you? Where it's going? I'm trying to reach you. Why don't you reach me? Answer your phone. What the hell's going on? And so that alerts Peter Pan to, you know, and he looks at Tinkerbell's like, what the fuck? Whose phone is that? You cheating on me, you motherfucker? Because they're in a relationship. And Peter Pan does kiss him at one point too. Or her. Or them. I don't know. There wasn't really a nomenclature for whatever they were. But nonetheless, so he goes after them, and then he ends up going into the room because he sees the lock has been undone on the brother's door, goes into the brother's room, and then while he's threatening the brother, and the brother's like, oh, he's like, you're going to tell me who was in this house and who you were talking with and all this stuff. And then the sister is like hiding behind this giant stuffed teddy bear. Oh. And she mouths to the brother like, 3, 2, except for I can't fucking count with my fingers at the same time. But 3, 2, 1, and then she pushes the teddy bear over, and like I get it, it's a really big stuffed teddy bear, but that isn't gonna knock somebody out. Come on, like it's not even gonna knock him over. Like, what did you put in that fucking teddy bear? Rocks, like some shit like that. But I get those things are heavy, you know, but Peter Pan is Peter Pan, and he's fucking hocked up on heroin. He's got fucking druggy strength that's going on there. So they manage to escape. Peter, or the brother, runs into the kitchen, hides in the table, sees the sister's phone's got a charge, grabs it, and calls 999. Meanwhile, she ends up going downstairs, runs into the coffin that has the boyfriend, and then leads him to an exit to where like she can't reach through, and there's a lock on the outside, but there's just planks covering like one part of the door that had a window on it. And so she's able to pull off the planks, and it's big enough for both of them to fucking get out of. All right, it's big enough for both of them to leave at the same time. And like I even said, why didn't she go? My cousin's like, well, she has to go back and save her brother. And I was like, but she could have gone outside and then gone in through the front door rather than have to go through the creepy fucking underground catacombs that have been created inside of Peter Pan's fucking house. But if she doesn't do that, of course, she doesn't run into Captain Hook, who happens to be the kid from the beginning of the movie, because she finds a picture of him, and then we see him like he does like a jump scare. It probably can get some people, doesn't really get me. And then we see that because he's like crying, help me, and he's got a hook for a hand. Because Peter Pan gave him a hook, I guess. For some reason, made him his nemesis. I don't know why. And there's always in the background, too, like whenever they go to like a TV screen, they always have on a crocodile that's attacking things, I guess, to be the crocodile from Peter Pan. I wish there would have been something else that was the crocodile, you know? Something else that went TikTok, or something that bothered him in his mind when he heard like clocks or something. Like they integrated that, but then that would also be more for Hook than it would be for actual Peter Pan. Though they could have mixed up the characters a little bit like that. But yeah, so I knew Captain Hook has got to come back at some point. He's got to get revenge on Peter Pan. The other thing is too, is that it's funny this time that the boyfriend, he's wearing a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 shirt. And I'm just like, I'm all for self-promotion, twitch.tv/terrible terrors. But I just don't get that. Like, okay, whatever. It's just a nod back to your movie. So eventually, though, she goes upstairs. She confronts Peter Pan. And, you know, but before that happens, Timmy Tinkerbell confronts Peter Pan as well, and that's where he gets his ass kicked and gets his arms broken off. And then Peter Pan takes a meat cleaver and chops off both of his arms. Why? Because you don't fucking leave him after, after she told him that, hey, I ran into your dad because you're Timmy and your dad really misses you and he really wants to see you. And that's when Timmy realizes that Peter Pan's full of shit and he's been lying to him the entire time. So, he tries to stand up for himself, but ends up getting fucking killed. Okay, whatever. That's when, he starts to run after the sister, but because brother is underneath the table, he stabs his toes with the knife that he's got, and then they run out. And then it's just kind of your standard final girl battle with the bad guy, and where he's constantly having stuff thrown at him, like he is Ghostface from fucking Scream. Like, the reason why I do not like Ghostface very much as a killer, just in general, because he is constantly getting the shit kicked out of him, like constantly. He anything that can be thrown in the room at Ghostface is thrown at him, and he fucking startles him. While he gets some good kills, I'm not gonna say that he doesn't. He is constantly outwitted by fucking Cindy Prescott, and she's constantly throwing shit at him, which Wendy is doing to Peter Pan in this movie. Prove me wrong that they are not the same fucking person. So it's just a lot of her getting shit. It's great at one point, like she tries to strangle him with a bat, but she doesn't really have the strength to, and so she just gives Peter Pan a weapon. And then Peter Pan's just beating the shit out of her with the bat. And then eventually, which I didn't like very much in the way that it was done, eventually, like, they get into the kitchen, they get beat up, they end up in a struggle between the two where she's trying to poke out his eyes, when they take the hands and they push it into the eye sockets. But she got stabbed in the neck with a piece of glass by him, and she stupidly, like, when you have something like that, it should just be let in so you don't bleed to fucking death. But she pulls it out, and then he takes his thumb and starts jamming it in the hole there, which I think that one was pretty good. Like, I like that little struggle that they did there, but I still think it's done. But eventually, he's starting to get the upper hand because he's stronger than her. But then here comes the brother to smack him in the face, and then he repeatedly is like bashing his face in to the point that, like, it should start fucking caving in the amount of times that it's hitting him, even when she stops him, and he gets up, his face is fine. Just the mask breaks. But his face is fine. Maybe a little bit of blood. And that's where Captain Hook comes, hooks him in the shoulder, and drags him off. And we don't see Peter Pan again until it's like his next birthday, the boy's next birthday, and they're all celebrating, and then they get a call, and it's the same creepy song that was played a year ago when he was kidnapped. The end. So it's just, there are plenty of other stupid things that I'm missing in this movie, I'm pretty sure, but I just, like, it just wasn't interesting enough. And again, I don't know what they were trying to say with the whole thing of, that he's gay, that his mom repressed his sexuality, and that he does this because of it. That's what I feel like they're saying. That and he doesn't really, because, like, when they start turning on him, then, like, that's when he's like, oh, well, then you're not worthy of Neverland because you're like the other people, right? Instead of just accepting me. And, like, there is even, I think the game of Marco Polo, I didn't talk about that. And I think that is the best part of this movie. I think that actually is really done well, where he goes out and says, I want to play. I can't sleep. I know you're awake. Come on, let's play. And then let's play Marco Polo. I'll go first. You know how to play, right? And then the kid goes out there, and it's like Marco Polo, and he's around there, and he's trying to figure out how to get out of there. And then there's a stereotypical scene was like a room full of mannequins with all different drapes on it, and of course one of them has to be him. But I still think that scene's probably the best done scene in the entire movie, and that's one of the times where I say where, like, they're trying to set up the horror and build the tension. It works. It just doesn't have the greatest payoff, but it's hard to have a movie that has, like, a couple of good shots and then one good scene to be a really great film. So I still stand by that 2 out of 4. I think so much was dumb, and at parts, like, it's funny because when we saw Nosferatu, and I know that review is probably not gonna be up by the time I get this one up, but when we saw that, my cousin's husband, Paranormal Pat, in the beginning of the video, he left like in the last 20 minutes, and he might be watching this. I don't know. And like in this, I wanted to leave too, but I knew that this was 90 minutes long. I know part of it he says because it was long, and I can understand his point of view from it. I'm not faulting him for that, but like it was literally the last like maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and if he had stuck around, he'd just seen the ending. Where with this, like 40 minutes into it, I was almost ready to bounce because I was just like, I can't, but I'm just gonna watch the rest of it because there's only maybe 20 minutes left, and two, I'm gonna talk about it, so might as well know how it ends. But yeah, that's it. Again, thank you guys for watching. Sorry there haven't been so many videos coming out lately. I'm gonna try to get back on a regular schedule. Hopefully, as we see more movies. January is a shitty month for movies. With the new job, it's been a little bit harder to get the stuff done. So I'm trying to make things work. And I hope you guys enjoy the stuff. Check out the latest episodes of the podcasts. And again, join me on Twitch, twitch.tv/terrible terrors. So if you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought in the thoughts below. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much again for watching. Make sure that you take care of yourselves and each other. And I hope to see you guys in another video very, very soon. Bye, guys.